Welcome to part 2 of our Mediterranean cruise adventure. I'm Sean Wendt. I'm your host here at the Went There Cruising channel. In part 1, we looked at the first week of our 14-night cruise adventure on the Sun Princess through the Mediterranean. Week 1 took us from Athens, or Piraeus, the port for Athens, to Barcelona. In week 2 here, we're going to go from Barcelona to Civitavecchia, which is the port for Rome. Great stops. There were great stops on week 1. Even better stops on week 2. So we hope you'll enjoy it. But if you didn't see part 1, I'll leave a link to that down below so you can check out the earlier adventures through the Mediterranean. And if you didn't see our other content on Sun Princess, I'll leave links down below to that as well. We've done hits and misses of the Sun Princess, which is basically a critique of the ship itself. We did a walkthrough tour of the ship itself. And then we also did an overall cruise review. And so I'll leave links to all of those down below. But let's get into week 2 and some of the adventures we had there in the Mediterranean. Let's get to it. So Barcelona for us was a in-transit thing. We were not getting off the ship, even though a lot of people were disembarking. We were staying on board, but we did do a regular excursion. This is a clip of the cruise terminal itself. I don't ordinarily show that, but it's probably the most impressive cruise terminal I think I've ever seen. The first stop on our tour, which was the La Sagrada Familia and City Drive, was this museum. And the interesting thing about this museum is this was created for the World's Fair over 100 years ago and was initially planned to be a temporary building. They built this thing, planning to use it for a couple of years, and it was supposed to be torn down at the end of that. But they ended up keeping it, and then they had to totally redo the foundation. But the cool thing, from up here, you get this really incredible view, which you can see from here. So, looking out over most of Barcelona, really very pretty. That dome building there in the distance, that is or at least was, a bullfighting arena up until about 15 years ago when it was finally outlawed. So really amazing view from up here. Just really incredible to look at it. You can see La Sagrada Familia over there in the distance. They did have some buskers up here playing some music, and so it was actually kind of neat. It was a neat little stop. I don't know. We didn't get very much time there. Maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. And then we were back onto the bus for our city drive over to La Sagrada Familia, which you see here. I don't think words can describe, or I don't think this video does justice to just how absolutely incredible this place is. They started construction in 1882. It's been ongoing. The towers up there, you can still see cranes, are supposed to be completed by the end of next year. But there is the whole entrance piece is not done, and that's not projected to be done for several more years. But there's buildings in the way and things like that, so we'll see what comes of all that. But they've been working on this place for basically 125 years. Really absolutely incredible. And as you get closer to it, you can see the level of the sculpture that's on the side of this. And so on this side of La Sagrada Familia, this is Jesus's early life. So there's lots of little stations on here to represent early events in his lifetime. On the far side, which we'll show you on the way out, you can see events leading up to the crucifixion, more toward the end of his life. You do have to go through pretty heavy security, makes the airport look tame, to get into here, but just absolutely staggeringly beautiful. The stained glass all around. And the weird thing, from the outside, you can see the little windows and things, but it doesn't look like there's that much glass. But when you actually get in there and you can see just how much stained glass there is and how the light hits, it's amazing. And greens and blues and reds, they're just so vibrant. It really is an enormous facility. You can see how tall it is. Most of those columns are sandstone, and it's just absolutely stunning. So I can't imagine. It'd be just amazing to go to services here or anything like that. What you can do, apparently, although I'm sure it's not easy, because again, all the hefty security, La Sagrada Familia actually pays for itself. So it is funded through tourism dollars. Our excursion price covered the ticket, but I want to say it's in the ballpark of 25 euros to get into La Sagrada Familia, but that money pays for the construction, which is, of course, obviously still ongoing. Being that this construction started in 1882, you can see the level of detail up there in the archways and everything, and just the math involved pre-supercomputer would be amazing. That last little bit there, just the color coming in through the windows, the light, it's absolutely amazing. This side out here is the outside portion, like I said, leads up to the crucifixion, which you can see up there at the top. But we went in a lot of impressive churches on this trip. Nothing touches this one. And then from there, we had a little free time to walk around, but then back to the cruise. This is the cruise ship terminal. Amazing. The next stop on our tour was Gibraltar. This one we did not do a princess tour. We actually did a Viator one. It was the Rock Tour and World War II tunnels. That first clip there you can actually see. That is the Rock of Gibraltar. We did stop over here at this little port area. You can see that the land off to the left there was Morocco. The land to the right is Spain. So you can see the cannon here. Gibraltar is a very important military position, or certainly was historically, due to its position at the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea. Anybody sailing into the Mediterranean Sea literally has to come past Gibraltar. So it's just, from a naval perspective, very historical. Then take you over there, sort of the east side of the peninsula of the rock, and you can see a little lighthouse over here. Again, that hill over there would be Morocco. So not that far. On a clear day, you can easily see it. And then that would be the Mediterranean Sea out to the east over there. Apparently, in that top part up there, they have a cannon that can actually reach Morocco. So long-distance munition there. And then the tour went from there up the rock to St. Michael's Cave. It was stopped at a little spot here. You can see down to the marina area. But near St. Michael's Cave, there is a colony of about 300 monkeys. They are maintained by Gibraltar, so they have feeding stations, but the monkeys are not in cages. They are free roaming, and they are pretty much all over this area. So they walk around. They will come up to you. They're certainly not shy. So really kind of neat to see them in the wild, so to speak. But lots of people posing for photos there. But from here, you can see one there with a baby. Just really cute, heartwarming little picture there. But from here we go inside St. Michael's Cave. And this was amazing. The stalactites, stalagmites, I'm not sure which is which. But really amazing. It's lit up really neat in there. So apparently there's certain aspects of it. You can see a printout sort of in a little bit of what, when the lighting hits it, it's supposed to look like St. Michael. I'm not sure I really was able to see that, but just the colors in here and the cavern, it was just really amazing to look at. And they do light shows. They've got like bleachers sort of set up, rows of seats with a light show, which I will show you in just a second. It was really neat. Yeah, I was not expecting that on St. Michael's Cave. It was really amazing. You can see the port from up here leading outside of St. Michael's Cave. It was really cool. And then our next stop, or really the last stop, was down here is the tunnels. And so this whole area was carved out of the mountain to store airplanes during the war, during World War II. So that's why these are the World War II tunnels. But really in here now, it's just a museum. Interestingly, all the dirt that they excavated from this was actually used to fill in the ocean there, or the sea there, and is presently the Gibraltar airport sits on. So that's all landfill that the airport is built on, all from dirt carved out of this mountain. So in here you can see a little bit of a hangar area, and you can see some tunnels. But most of this area in here is just a museum. There was this little bar here, but it was not open when we were there. I mean, it's kind of a neat place to go for a bar, I'm sure, right? You're inside of a mountain, naturally air conditioned, right? So pretty cool. But yeah, there's the hangar area over there, and I guess they would line up a number of planes there. You can see, a British plane. Obviously, Gibraltar's a British colony. And then, to the right more is this little museum area. So there's lots of neat exhibits. But unfortunately, we really only had about 20, maybe 25 minutes of free time. So we got a chance to walk through it and kind of peruse some of it. But there's all these details in there that we really didn't get a lot of time to pay attention to. So it would have been probably neater if we had maybe done this outside of an excursion and just, for free time. But certainly if you have the time, you can come here. I'm sure it's incredibly fascinating if you actually have the chance to read all the stuff that they have on display. So it was definitely cool, but time was short here because our whole excursion was started, let's say, 8:30 in the morning, and it was done by noon. So, with St. Michael's Cave and the other stops, and then ultimately here, the World War II tunnels, very limited time. But they ultimately drop you off right here, kind of in the city center. So it's about 8 or 9 blocks from the cruise port, so you actually have to walk back after. But this is sort of the main little plaza area here. There was some restaurants. There's the Rock of Gibraltar. We did actually get some fish and chips. I think that's a requirement when you're in Gibraltar. You have to have British fish and chips. But then there is this lengthy alley here where there's all kinds of shopping. And so this is not like the high-end shopping we saw like in Taormina or someplace like this. This is more normal stuff. And then that is the British consulate where Yoko Ono and John Lennon were married. So that is where the Beatles died. Our next stop on the tour was Marseilles, France, which of course started with a bus. I will say Marseille has the worst traffic of anywhere I have been in the world. But there's 4 main stops. This was a princess excursion. It's Marseille's 4 main points, first of which is that cathedral, which I'll show you in a second. This building over there with their architecture I thought was really just amazing because you can see how the whole right half of that building just hangs off. It's not supported. But there is this cathedral here. It was very impressive, although having been in Barcelona a few days prior, it certainly did not compare to the majesty of the La Sagrada Familia. But, it was certainly very neat. And I'll show you inside in a second. But there's this big kind of plaza out there. We actually did a walking tour around this whole area that you can see right there. That was part of it before the cathedral actually opened. So we did get a chance to walk around some of that area. I'll show you some of that. But inside the cathedral, actually you can see here, obviously very impressive looking, just, a beautiful facility, incredible architecture. But doesn't have the stained glass, and that just... so amazing, the other one. So this was certainly good, but just not in that category. So the walking tour continued outside of there. Then you can see that one building again. That architecture really does amaze me. But then from there, we went over more toward where the marina is, or the old marina. So you can see the marina there, but to the right there, you can see the armaments that were at one time sort of the entrance, because at one time this was the main harbor where ships would come in to do their trade here in Marseille. Now, of course, there's the new, more modern harbor outside of this. But this area is neat, and at the far end of it, which I'll show you in a bit, was our next main stop on this tour, is their kind of central shopping hub area. So, but very pretty over here. This is a bit more of the walking tour of that area. So some narrow little ways, and there's some shops along here. Nothing. This is not the really good shopping area though. We saw that was to come. Actually, yeah, the next stop was a little fishing village. Now, across from the fishing village that's the World War I memorial there. But really neat view looking out over the bay there. You can see the harbor off in the distance. But there's some steps that go down from here that actually take you over to the fishing village. So that is, this is down the steps here, and we're walking here toward the fishing village, which you'll be able to see momentarily here. So you can see some graffiti there, but actually I thought the area overall was fairly clean. One of the critiques I've heard of Marseille is that it's not, but overall I think I found it to be relatively clean. So that's the fishing village right there. There are some restaurants there. We really didn't spend very much time actually here at this little fishing village. We probably only had 20, 25 minutes here anyway, but I think we spent more of that time more back there by the World War I memorial, just because it was neat to be looking over the water, and this is back by there. So right kind of below there were some steps that went down. There's like a little restaurant, and for lack of a better word, a resort area. There's a whole bunch of lounge chairs out there and steps that go down into the water. So there were people that were swimming there, which is right there in the Mediterranean Sea. So that was pretty cool. The water's very, very clear there, very pretty. Out there, it actually is the old prison on one of those islands. And then from there, they take you to your little shopping area. So this is kind of by the marina, but it's at the other end of the marina. And they drop you off here. And I want to say here, we had the better part of 2 hours. So plenty of time to get some lunch, which we did. We found a little bistro, got some lunch. We thought it was good until we went inside at the end, and I went to use the restroom, and there was large cockroaches running all over. But I guess if we hadn't known that, lunch would have been a little better. But you can see walking through here, lots of shops, there are more higher end shops here, several blocks of it in really kind of every direction. And the last stop on the tour is the old docks. I guess this is the fourth main point, is the old docks. So now I guess at one time this was the docks, but now this has been converted into a residential and commercial building. And so you can see it there, the old docks, that lower level. I guess I don't know what they use that for now. But the upper levels are all residential or commercial. And then there's another portion of this down a little hallway, which you can see here. The lowest level on this one is actually like a restaurant. But, it's this nice atrium. It really does look nice, but, I don't know that I would call it one of the four main points of Marseille. And across the street from that is a shopping mall, which looks like a shopping mall. But it does have this terrace up here, which allows you to look out over the harbor, and that was really kind of a nice view there. And from there, the tour picks up in Genoa. So we went to Genoa. That was our next stop. We did not book an excursion there. We did book a 2-hour walking food tour, which we had to walk to. So it was a 20, maybe 25-minute walk from the port there. But we found Genoa to be very walker-friendly. It was not that far. This little area here I thought was really kind of neat. So it's opposite, it's across the street essentially from the waterfront. McDonald's, very American. But most of this stuff was little small shops. And so it doesn't look really bustling here, but like in the afternoon coming back, it was very bustling. So all these little roll-up doors were all rolled up by that point, and all these merchants had put out their wares. And so it was really a neat little walk to and from where we had to meet up for the 2-hour food tour. But what was really neat about Genoa, and I wasn't really expecting it, most people use Genoa as a jumping off point to go to Milan, but we really weren't looking for high-end shopping, plus we had a massage scheduled that afternoon, so we thought we'd just walk around here. But these really, really narrow streets, see how close the buildings are to each other? They're all built at different times, and they built it right up against the next one. And so it's just it's really heavily congested, but not like cars though. I mean, like you could probably fit a small car down some of these alleys, but there's some of these alleys that you can't. And people live along them. We did get a chance to go inside this church on our walking tour, which I'll show you in a bit. But this was just us walking to the walking tour. And so really just amazing architecture. We really did enjoy it. We thought it was a neat experience. It was a neat city. So the walking tour did take us to a place that had really, really good focaccia bread. And then from there we went to a place or down more closer to the water where we got good fish. And then from there we took it to this place where we got wine. So, kind of the best of everything there. But that was our guide that just was there explaining some of the architecture. So the walking tour did include maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of just general walking tour prior to getting to the first stop, which was the place with the focaccia bread. This is inside that church, and again, it was impressive as well. Just not in comparison really to Marseille, and certainly not in comparison to what we got to see at La Sagrada Familia. Lots of amazing churches over there in Europe, really quite neat. But then this would be the place with the focaccia bread, which was really good. And from there, we went to our fish place and then walked the narrow alleyways back to the cruise ship because, like I said, we had our massage that afternoon. And the last stop on our tour was at La Spezia. So first thing you do, you take ours was the best of Florence and Pisa. So you take a 1 hour bus ride from the cruise terminal to Pisa. And so this is the walkway up to there. You can see obviously tons of merchants selling their wares. You want leather things. There was a lot of leather items there. But then you walk into this area here, which there you see it. You can see the Leaning Tower in the distance. And then, of course, the cathedral there. We did not get to go inside that one. You can see all the scaffolding on there. They were working on it. You might have been able to go in there, but we really didn't have a lot of time here in Pisa. I want to say it was better part of half hour, 40 minutes or so was all the free time that we actually had here. So it was quite limited, but it really is amazing to go see it. It's one of those things you learn about in elementary school as a kid, and then to be able to walk up and actually see it there in person is just amazing. It was a really neat experience. But other than, the Leaning Tower, I don't know that Pisa itself was all that exciting of a stop. And so, or not for the Leaning Tower, I don't know there'd be a whole lot of reason to go to Pisa. But from there you take a bus to Florence, and this was very interesting. They notified us in advance of the cruise that because of construction or whatever, they couldn't park where they regularly park, and we were going to have to walk the better part of half an hour to get to the museum where the statue of David is. And they were not exaggerating. It was at least a half an hour, and at the end of the day, it was over an hour to walk to where we needed to get to meet the bus, and that was very difficult for some of the people that were on our excursion. I think Princess underestimated the difficulty of some of the walking. I thought we were going to call an ambulance for somebody. But this is inside the museum there where there is the statue of David. I'm not sure, you can kind of see that one picture there we just went past to the left. That picture is done by the person that was the mentor of Michelangelo, and that's where he learned how to do some of the detail and things like that. They did have some instruments in there, actual Stradivarius violin, and other historical instruments. There was more early versions of a piano and some neat musical artifacts, really kind of neat as well. But of course, the main thing that when you go to Florence and come to this museum is, of course, to see the statue of David. So before you go into that room, they take you through this little art gallery where there's this more abstract art. This really was not my taste. Any art that looks like I might have been able to do it, I generally don't consider to be super artistic. But maybe I'm just not appreciating the glamour of some of this paint splotches, for lack of a better term. But if you can make it through this art here, it walks into the gallery, the very, very crowded gallery, where they have the statue of David, which of course was done by Michelangelo and of course is carved out of a solid piece of marble. And that's the amazing thing about it. If you think about it, it started out as a solid chunk of white marble, and with a hammer and chisel, he was able to carve that. And that is amazing because the level of detail on it is incredible, down to the veins on David's hand. And you can actually, make out the vein structure on it. Just that level of detail was amazing. So it was incredible to see it. This is the original one there. There's a plaza which we'll get to in a bit, that it used to be at until they moved it here to keep it out of the elements. Now, this is a scam to watch out for. These guys, they lay that art there on the ground, and it's cheap little prints, but they lay it out, take up a bunch of space, and then they're hoping some tourist will step on it, and then they'll jam you up and tell them that you owe them hundreds of dollars or euros because you ruined their priceless art. So be careful of that. Don't fall for it. Don't step on it. But then our walking tour carried us over here to this cathedral, which is amazing. All that color in there is inlaid. That's not paint. That is inlaid granite or marble. It is just absolutely amazing to look at this. We went through a lot of area here in downtown Florence, a lot of shopping areas and stores and restaurants, and of course there was lunch included on this because it was a good hour bus ride to get from Pisa to Florence. And so by this time it's later in the day. This is the plaza I was telling you about. It's kind of that's like the main city building or whatever. There's several statues there, including a replica of David, which is where David used to stand. But there's even a more modern statue there. There's a gold statue, which you could kind of see we panned past, but it's a girl holding like an iPhone. And I guess the purpose of that is to show that, time passes and to make it more modern as well, incorporate more modern art into the area. But Florence was a very pretty city. I was impressed with it. It was neat. But from here, we did walk to the restaurant where lunch was, which was in this plaza here. So we got a pasta lunch, yet another church. And then, like I said, from the end of here, we had about a 1 hour walk back to the bus. So other than the walking, it was a great excursion. Great to come see Florence. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please like the video. If you like cruise content, please subscribe. Take care.